Hello, this is just a quick review for WWE 2K24. I've played a lot of the wrestling games ever since the PlayStation 1, so I've seen it progress over the years, and I was a big fan of the last title, 2023. I had that all customized to exactly the way I wanted it, and the differences between this one and the old last year's title are quite different. They've made a lot of changes to the gameplay. They've made a lot of changes to some of the options in the interface and the faction wars especially. They've changed. I haven't checked out the GM mode because I'm not interested in that. It's boring. But I've checked out basically everything else. When you first start the game, it's better to just do the tutorial, because you actually unlock cards for your faction wars if you want to do that. But it's just good to get used to the buttons again if you haven't played one of these games for a while, or if you're new to the series, then definitely play it through the tutorial. It didn't take that long. This is just the unlock screen, what they're called, consumables, and it's all the things you can buy in the game. And a little tip: if you are going to download things from the community creations, make sure that you do your WrestleMania showcase first, because a lot of the things are tied to the rewards. After winning all the showcase matches, you'll unlock a lot of the legends and a lot of the stuff, first arenas and stuff like that. So if you're trying to download off the community creations, then you'll not be able to download most of them, because you'll either have to buy them out of the consumables, or you'll have to do the showcase mode to unlock it. Some have got DLC tied to it, but most things you can just check, because I type in 80s WWF, and then there was 200 pages of things that people have uploaded with that hashtag. So you can get to page 24 or something, and it'll show you, if you see you wanted a different version of Hulk Hogan or Shawn Michaels or something like that, you can't get it on the most downloaded ones because they've used some DLC, or they've used things that you haven't unlocked yet. But basically all you have to do is just get through the showcase mode, and if you can create a universe, even with just the new roster, if you don't want to download any old characters like I have, you can earn points through that, which then you can use to buy the consumables. And if you put on a 5-star match, then you'll get 1,000 credits, and each character costs 1,000 credits. So you only have to do, there might only be 15 or 16 people that you think, I wouldn't mind unlocking them, and that's only 15, 16 matches. Put it on Legendary. All it means on Legendary is that the reverse windows, the amount of time you've got to press the button to reverse a move, it's just a lot smaller. So if you learn the animations and you remember when the triangle to reverse pops up, you can anticipate it and you can get it. So it just comes with practice. Like I said, I've played all the wrestling games, so I'm I recognize when it's time to press reverse. But if you're new to the game, you're obviously going to take a few matches to get used to that. They've really changed up the faction wars side of it, and I'm in two minds. I like it, but there's things about it that I don't like, because now you need faction tokens to play, and if you lose a match, then you've got to start again from the beginning, basically, which is a nightmare. But you basically, I think I've got some footage of it later, that you get different paths to choose, and you can move along the path, and then it might fork off, and you have to choose either up or down, or I think it's top, middle, or bottom. You can choose which way you want to go, and it helps if you look ahead to see what it is that you're actually going to be doing, because some paths are easier than others. Some might only have 2 matches to do before the boss fight, and some might have 3 or 4 matches before the boss fight. And like I said, they've changed up the faction mode. You've got to actually fight bosses. You'll get so far, and then you have to fight like a final boss. But when you do complete the boss mission match, then you get to keep one of those wrestlers from the boss team. You can use their card. You get to choose one card. But like I said, they've switched it up totally, because I think a lot of people complained that last time it was a grind fest, like complete grind fest, and there wasn't much to it. You would just keep doing the same matches over and over again, 4v4, and it was quite easy just to isolate one person and make them tap, and you could just fly through the matches that way. You don't need to pin, because on the old game, that's something else they've changed on the gameplay. On the old game, whenever you tried to pin somebody, even if they were ready to pin, and you had beat them up enough and the health was down and all the body was red, and you try and pin them, the other members of the tag team would just run in and break up the pin. So you would have to take, like, throw or run and, like, do a shoulder barge and hit them out of the ring before you tried to pin anyone, or you'd always get interrupted. And I think that became annoying. Even if you were just having like a normal 2-on-2 tag, you couldn't pin the guy because his partner would always run in and just break up the tag. Whereas now they've changed it so you can only interfere once in the match. So each person can only come in the ring when they haven't been tagged to help break up the pin. So normally when you go to pin somebody, the other team members are just standing watching while he gets pinned. So they've changed it, and you can also command your team members to, like, take off the ring post to reveal the turnbuckle, you know, like the pad, to reveal like the steel turnbuckle pad, like the links for the ropes, and you can instruct them to go and attack the other people on the team as well. I think you hold L1 and you press up, down, left or right. They've all got a different action. But with the faction war, you don't get to choose basically who you've got. It's like a card game. You open packs, you get cards, and then you're just basically using the best cards that you've got at the time, which I don't particularly like, because a lot of the wrestlers in today's roster are shit, I think. They haven't got the gimmicks and the like the personality. The characters aren't the same as when it was in the 80s. Everybody is just like using normal names. You know, it's like Austin Theory versus Zack Wilder. It's like just two people's names. It's not Macho Man Randy Savage versus the British Bulldog. You know, everybody's had their own gimmick specific to them, and it was unique. There was no copying, and it just made every character, every wrestler's persona was like more individual, I think. That's why I prefer the 80s stuff, and like the early 90s, early 2000s, the Attitude Era. That was great. And that's when I stopped watching it. Like as a teenager, I just stopped getting into it after that. So I haven't watched the wrestling for like 20 years. You know, like John Cena's still a new person to me, and like The Rock was just coming into it. But he was like the Daft Rock where he would lift his eyebrow. It wasn't The Rock today. Fucking Hulk Hogan was still in when I was watching it. But he had the black stubble and the blonde beard. Hollywood Hogan. But, you know, so I don't use any of the new roster. I hate the new wrestlers. I think they're shit. So automatically, as soon as I start, I always start my own universe and I download all the classic legends from the creators, the community creations. But, I mean, I've got this game late. It's been out for over a month now. So there's a lot of community creations on there if you want to have a look at them. There's absolutely shitloads of people. And, you know, like there's Michael Jackson, there's like, you know, Mike Tyson, there's like all these people who don't wrestle, they're all on there as well. But there's a lot of legends on there. So if you're a big fan of the 80s and 90s wrestling like I am, then you'll find most people. But they have got some legends that are actually in it, like Big Boss Man and Jake the Snake Roberts and Ravishing Rick Rude and Razor Ramon. Like there is some classics already on there, so it's just one less person to look for when you're searching for characters. You know, but like I said, the faction wars, they've totally changed. The gameplay, not just where you can only interfere once or twice, you can actually throw weapons now, which is a good thing. Like you can launch a chair or a ladder or a microphone or a hockey stick or anything like quite far. You know, you can throw it right across the ring, so that makes it better. This is the tree I was talking about, where you choose your path, top, middle, or bottom, and have a look to see. Like, can you see some have extra matches than others? So you might want to choose an easier path. And you need the faction war tokens in order to participate in the faction wars. They've just tried to make it more entertaining and less of a grind. Um, so you've got a chance to, like, you know, keep it interesting while you're playing it. But it just becomes like more of a grind, I think, in a different way. Because like you say, like I said, if you get quite far and then you lose a match, you lose some of the cards that you were using, because a lot of them you just get on loan, and you can use them like for winning. You get to win, and you get to use some of the cards that you've won against. But if you lose, it reverts back to your original lineup. So then you lose all your progress, and you have to basically start again. And also, like I said, you need to have faction tokens. So when you're on that tree, on the path, like to choose, if after you win a match, always just choose the tokens to have. Don't choose anything else it's given you, because most of it's just bullshit. It's like you know, a health or like buffs, like side plates and stuff that you can put to give you better strength or better recovery or whatever. But always just choose the tokens, because they're more valuable. And that's another thing, when you first start your faction war, your characters don't even start with a full health bar. You might start with only half health. So when you're fighting the matches, you've only got half health, like, and it's harder because you can't take much of a beating before you're totally fucked and you're getting pinned. So it's just one of those things where it takes time to get used to. Like I said, there's things about it I do like, but there's a lot about it that I don't like, just because it's different, it's new, I'm not quite used to it yet, so automatically I think, oh shit, this, I don't like it. But you just give it time and it'll grow on you. If you like the faction wars. I know a lot of people don't like playing faction wars. A lot of people play GM mode, and I cannot stand that. It's boring. You're just setting up the matches. You know, you get to play them as well, but it's too restrictive. You have to have hit performance goals, and you have to have 5-star matches, and you have to, you know, earn a certain amount of money from seats and merchandise and stuff. It's like Football Manager, but for wrestling, and it's boring to me. This is my universe. Early days, I mean, it's totally different now, but this is what my universe was when I first started the game up. I've got the Rockers, Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels versus Orient Express, and I've downloaded all these from the community creations, like from day one. So there is other people have made other tag teams and stuff, and I just search, and whenever I find the perfect person, then I'll have a look to see what I need to unlock them in the consumables. Like I might have to buy, I think it was for Greg the Hammer Valentine, I needed to have the Boogeyman, what's his name? I forgot his name now, but that Boogeyman, I needed to unlock him, and I needed to unlock China to have the boots, because he was wearing like China's boots or something, so I couldn't download the character until I'd bought China. So just with a bit of pen and paper, you can make a note of what you need to unlock the character if you're desperate to get him. Because I like having, they've got to have all the proper moves, all the proper entrances, the proper attires, like costumes, and they've got to have like the proper faces. Well, not really, but they've got to have like things that make them look like the real counterparts. And you can even get the portrait pictures, so when you're picking them on the character select screen, it's an actual real life picture of the wrestler. It's not the 3D rendering of your character that you've created, if you know what I mean, in graphics. It's actually a photograph. So you can just, again, search on the customer creations. You might find the perfect wrestler, but he hasn't got the picture portrait, so you can just do a separate search and look for the portrait picture and then just stick that on when you're doing the personal information of the created wrestler. But like I said, I take ages. I go through all the options. I make sure they've got all the special moves and all the all the correct attires. And I always, once I've downloaded somebody, I'll always go into the character creation and I'll tweak them, and I'll change what I don't like, or I'll improve what the person who created the character hasn't quite done. I mean, I could spend time making them all myself, but that's just even more time. I mean, I'm already spending hours in the options trying to perfect them and get them just the way I want them. Never mind to have to start from scratch. A lot of people have done the heavy lifting for you from the beginning, and they've actually done all the hard work, and you just need to tweak it, which is just a lot quicker. Like, you see there, you see this victory motion. It's a bit feminine. I don't like it. Like the way they walk, the way they hold up the hands. It's not very rocker-like. Whereas when I went into the options and had a look, it's just on generic Victory 1. So there's a big list there, and you can just flick through and look for one that actually suits the characters that you've got. Then you can see all of my 80s wrestlers. Andre and Bulldog are a part of the game. Warrior and Razor are. But like Owen Hart, Ric Flair, the Natural Disasters, Earthquake and Typhoon, Dino Bravo, the Bushwhackers, they're all downloaded from the community creations. Owen Hart, Papa Shango, they're all created characters that I've actually downloaded and then tweaked and put all the proper moves in and that. It does take ages, but I enjoy doing that, because then when you come to play your own universe, it's basically just an 80s / early 90s wrestling game with really good graphics and really good gameplay and really good everything else. I mean, they haven't brought, I think it was something WrestleMania, I can't remember what the game was now, but it's been years since they've actually, oh, it was Legends of WrestleMania. It's been ages since they've actually brought out a decent wrestling game with just 80s characters in, or 90s characters. So you just take this game and just customize it to your own perfect game. Again, this is my universe where I was playing on last night. You can see I've got Roddy Piper, he's a proper character, Sergeant Slaughter, got Jimmy Snuka, Ric Flair, Akeem, you know, so I've got a lot of people who are in there. Ravishing Rick Rude, he's a proper character, who's like on the game already, so you don't have to do that. So he's got all the proper costumes, all the moves, all the entrance music. That's one thing they've taken out of the wrestling games now, is that you can't import your own music. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was like 16 or 17 or 18, where you could actually import your own music. So that's another thing you would look for online. I used to just rip them off YouTube, and then you can put them on like a USB stick, plug it into your it was a PS3 then, I think, or PS4, and then you plug it in, and then you can import your own tunes. So whenever they come down to the ring, they've got the actual music, they've got the actual finishes, the actual like attires and stuff. It just looks more authentic, but I think it's just copyright. They don't have the music now, so you're gonna have to just make do and choose from the generic list of music, or use an existing wrestler's music. But like I said, I don't use any of the new roster. Anything that was from even 2000 onwards, I don't use. Everything's all 80s and 90s with me. So I can just use, like, say, Tyler Breeze's music or someone like that for one of my characters, because he's never going to be in the wrestling, so nobody's ever going to know, kind of thing. And for the amount of time that you hear the music from them entering the ring, it's not that it's not that important. And once you start playing match after match after match on the universe, half the time you'll just turn the entrances off, because it's just one more screen you've got to skip before you get to the wrestling. So it's just there for authenticity, really. I just like it for the immersion of having you know, like the proper music or the proper entrances. But it's not that important, but I do like having it in the game, because it just makes it more authentic. But yeah, it's just one of those games where you can just customize it to death. You can create yourself. That's another thing. They've got My Rise, which is like a one-player story where you create your own character, and I forgot what it's called because I haven't checked it out yet. I looked online, but I forgot what it's called. But you've got two different paths. On the old title, you were a girl who was taken after her auntie who was a legend, and then you're continuing on the legacy. Or you're a boy who's a part of the Lock franchise thing, where it's like a gimmick where you're part of this thing called the Lock, and you create your own character, and then you go through like story points. You fight in Japan, you fight in Mexico, you do all this get mad shit, and then you make your way basically from the beginning ranks all the way up to WrestleMania and stuff like that. So there is a one-player mode that you can do if you don't want to do the universe or the faction mode. I don't like playing people online because, like I said, I'm a month late to the game. So by now, people have got it sussed. They've got the favorite character and they know how to exploit it. And a lot of people just cheat online, and you just get your ass kicked, and there's no fun in it. You know, I'm using Big Boss Man on 87 stats or something, and everybody else is using their own created characters that are just absolutely maxed out, and it's just there's no fun. So I never play online. I do the live events sometimes, which is just basically you have to have a certain faction card to play, and it's like different challenges. But that's just reminders. There's different views. They've changed the camera as well. Just looking at this footage, you can do a free camera or you can change the mode, the angle of the camera shot, which is new. You never used to be able to do that. So while you're spectating or even while you're playing, you can change the camera. Like that way you can see them coming out the curtain and running down to the ring. You can have it on this view permanently while you play. And also there's a free camera mode like this where you can just spin around while the fight's going on, which is quite good because this has never been in the wrestling before. So it just adds something else to the game to make it more dynamic and enjoyable. But there's lots to do if you haven't played it, or if you don't particularly want to play a certain mode. There's always something you can do and find what you want to do. It's really good like that. But as a big fan of the wrestling, I think it's good to have all these different options and all these different customization options that you can have, because like I've been saying, you can just customize it and tailor it to exactly how you want to play the game. I just wish they would bring out a Legends game like this where, I mean, this is Paul Orndorff versus Bad News Brown. I mean, most of the people or the kids in that who were watching the wrestling, they haven't even heard of these guys. You know, so they don't know they exist, and yet Paul Orndorff's actually on the game, I think. Oh no, he's not. He's a creative character, so is Bad News Brown. But there is some Harley Race as a proper character. Bruno Sammartino or Marino, I think his name is. He's on there. Jerry the King Lawler. These are all before my time. But because it's an 80s themed universe, I've just got them in. Superstar Billy Graham, I think he's in the DLC, because there's a couple of DLCs out now that you can buy. But yeah, it's like if you're into the old wrestling like I am, in like the golden era it's called, it's perfect for someone who's about our age, because you can, like I said, you can customize it to death. You can just get it exactly the way you want it. And they're like Demolition. They're one of my favorite tag teams, and the Natural Disasters. So, like I said, when you're customizing it, you can look in the list of the team announce. So if you create a tag team, when the announcer says the tag team's name, sometimes, like Demolition, it'll say Demolition because they're actually on there. It'll say the Rockers, it says Rhythm and Blues, Power and Glory, the Powers of Pain, the Mega Bucks, the Mega Powers, which was Randy Savage and Hogan in the tag team, the Ultimate Maniacs, you know, that kind of thing. So there is a few there that you can make, and you think, oh class, I can make that tag team now. I know it's like the proper announcing. But sometimes you might get some, and you think, oh, their name's not on there. So you just have to make do, call them the bad guys or whatever it is, and just call them like a different name. Because like I was saying before, the amount of time that it's like you hear it, it's only when they're coming down to the ring, and it doesn't really, like, it's not important to the actual gameplay, but it just does make it fun to have it totally customized, so it feels like you're playing an 80s game. Like this SummerSlam 88 ring, this is actually on the game. I didn't have to customize that. This is just something that they've included on the game, because this title is heavily around the legacy of WrestleMania, So you start off and you do the you start off on WrestleMania 3. I think it's WrestleMania 3, or it might be WrestleMania 1. You start off and you do like 1, 3, 5, 6. I think you do 8, 9, 10, and then it jumps ahead. You do 13, and it goes all the way up until like 2024, whatever the WrestleManias are up to now. WrestleMania 30, you do. I remember that. Like Ronda Rousey's in it, and when she, can you remember when she, if you're a fan of wrestling, when she came and done a WrestleMania and stuff. So they try and cover all the actual decades of all the different WrestleManias. WrestleMania 6 was my favourite, and it was Ultimate Warrior versus Hulk Hogan for the double belt, the Intercontinental and the Heavyweight Championship. They were both on the line. But another thing about Showcase Mode is they've brought back, before I forget, is that where you're playing like this, and then all of a sudden it'll just go into the real life footage of the match. So it picks up and it's quite seamless, like to where you're punching and then it just goes to the real footage and he's punching exactly the same way you've just been punching, or he throws him over the ropes and then it seamlessly transitions into the real footage. It's very clever how they've done it, and it looks really good. I quite enjoyed the Showcase Mode. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I thought it was good. One thing I don't like about the Showcase Mode is they've got some daft music playing in the background. It's like tense, like suspenseful music while you're fighting, but it spoils it, and you can't turn it off either, I don't think. You might be able to if you went in and turned all the music off in the options, but I didn't bother doing that. And if you're stuck on the Showcase Mode, because it is quite difficult if you're not used to playing on hard difficulty, you can always put it on easy, and the window for the reversals and stuff is a lot bigger, and it's just easier. The person you're fighting against doesn't get up as quick, doesn't fight back as much, so it's easier to play. But I love it. I mean, I paid 55 quid for it. It was on sale. I waited a month for it to come down in price, and it was 15% off, and I just thought, fuck, I'm going to buy it. So I paid 55 quid for it. For me, that's really top end of like how much I would like to pay for a game. I normally only like paying about 49 or 45. You know, I don't want to pay more than that, because I don't think games are worth more than that. But, you know, like 70, 100 quid if you want the deluxe edition, and that's ridiculous. But if you want to just wait for it to come down in price, do that. But just be rest assured that it is going to be lots of hours of fun. You'll get your money's worth no matter what you pay for it. There's absolutely loads to do. So if you like the look of it, go and get it. That's it really. So, see you there.